The story begins with a group of adventurers who are up against a deadly S-ranked forest dragon. It breathes fire, causing massive destruction to the area, and the adventurers are forced to run. Elsewhere in a field, we meet a young farmer named Al Lane. He tends to his crops and is pleased with how well everything is growing. He harvests some of the crops and prepares to head to the markets. He gets an alert from his status window and sees that his farming skills have all been maxed out, reaching level 10. He is joined by his friend, the fisherman Testa, who is amazed at his achievement. Testa is even a little jealous that Al even has a level 10 fishing skill when he is supposed to be the fisherman. Having maxed out all his farming skills, Al suddenly gets a special option to integrate and evolve his skills. He accepts it and gains the Nature Lover title. Al is confused what this means, but Testa sees that he suddenly has 65,000 status points, with over 73,000 attack and 45,000 defense. They're shocked, but Al remembers he needs to get to the market. Al heads off to the royal capital to sell his crops. Along the way, he sees the dragon attacking the adventurers. They're no match, and call to retreat. Al decides to help, and throws a carrot, hoping to distract the dragon, but the carrot hits, and the dragon explodes with a single blow. The adventurers are left shocked, confused at what happened, and Al is also surprised by his new strength. He quickly heads on his way, and the adventurers only see his trail. Al makes it to the royal capital Mages, but while he is at the gate, there's a girl that's being kidnapped. The hooded man comes charging through, but Al jumps forward and saves the girl. The hooded man attacks Al with a knife, but Al easily disarms and defeats him. The man is arrested and the girl thanks him for saving her. They hear a bell, and Al quickly rushes off, not wanting to be late. The girl asks for his name, but Al just quickly speeds off. He makes it to the market and delivers his crops. As he goes to leave the city, he gets stopped by the guards. Al thinks he might be in trouble, but the girl he saved appears and introduces herself as Phallus, the princess of the capital. Al becomes nervous talking to the princess, but she orders him to just treat her casually. She asks if he would be willing to serve the royal family. He says hell no, but only in his mind. Instead, he carefully tries to decline, saying he can't handle the responsibility. He tries to leave, but Phallus catches him. She tells him that they would pay him well, but Al says he is only interested in being a farmer. Hearing this, Phallus offers to give him a huge field near the capital, that's over 33,000 square meters. Al asks why she is willing to go so far just to recruit him. She tells him it's because he was able to so easily defeat the hooded man, who had a strength of over 500. Al asks what the average strength is, and Phallus explains that the average person has a strength around 50, adventurers are around 130, knights are up to 600, and the legendary hero has 1,000. Phallus asks to see his status, but Al knows he can't show her. The adventurers return and report that the forest dragon was defeated. However, they don't know who did it, only that there was a carriage. Hearing the report, Phallus suspects it was Al, but while they were distracted, Al quickly makes a break for it. Despite this, Phallus remains determined to recruit him. Suddenly a guard tells Phallus she is being called to return to the palace. There is a report that a large swarm of monsters are approaching the capital. All kinds of monsters like orcs, dragons, and golems. They're coming from the Hell Zone, which shocks the king. Because the leader of the Hell Zone, the Demon King, was killed by the hero, and they made a peace pact with the demons. We meet Officer Cecil. He suggests that not all demons are happy with the peace pact, especially the first general of the Demon King, Romeo Van Dead. He suspects that they found out that the hero passed away and now wants revenge for the death of the Demon King. He advises that the king leave the capital for his own safety. The king doesn't want to abandon his people, but all his soldiers beg him to survive. Al finally makes it back home, accidentally destroying his door with his new strength. He is exhausted from his day, and Testa suddenly comes knocking on his door. Testa tells him they need to evacuate because an army of monsters is nearby. Al suddenly thinks of his crops and rushes to his field. He is relieved to see his crops are okay. The army of monsters passes by, and Al realizes they are heading straight for the capital. He doesn't want to get involved because he is just a farmer, but then realizes that if the capital falls, he will have nowhere to sell his crops. Meanwhile, the king and princess have escaped from the capital, but they come to a dead end. The king is suddenly attacked with a blast of energy. Cecil transforms and reveals he is actually the demon General Romeo. He had been deceiving them from the very beginning. He reveals his plan to pose as the king, using his transformation magic, and rule the kingdom without the people knowing. But first he must kill the king. He attacks with his dark magic, but the king creates a barrier. The barriers begin to break as the king struggles to maintain it. Phallus helps to reinforce the barrier, but Romeo unleashes a second attack. The barriers break, and the king can no longer maintain the barrier. By herself, Phallus cannot defend against the attack, and the rest of the barriers are destroyed. Romeo goes to finish them off with his over-darkness skill, but Al suddenly appears and stops the attack. He uses his plowing skill and shatters the ground, disrupting the army of monsters. Romeo is curious who he is, but Al just says he is an ordinary farmer. Romeo jumps behind him, but Al is able to catch his blade and throw him away. Romeo is impressed and decides to go all out. He absorbs the power from the nearby monsters and transforms to his true form. Looking at his status, Phallus sees that he is level 78 with over 5,000 strength. She tells Al to run away. Romeo unleashes his power and charges at Al, but Al counters with his own punch, and Romeo is defeated. The monsters are shocked Al won with a single punch and all quickly run away. They return to the palace and the king thanks him for defeating Romeo and saving their lives. But Al just says he did it because he wanted to protect his crops. The king asks him to serve the country, but Al declines, saying he only wants to be a farmer. The king offers to make him a commander or any title he desires, but Al remains determined to just be a farmer. As a reward, Phallus decides to give Al the 33,000 square meter field near the kingdom, but on the condition that he registers as an adventurer so he can occasionally help out the kingdom. Al agrees with this deal, but when he goes to check out the field, he finds it is complete wasteland, realizing he had been tricked by Phallus. The next day, Al explores the capital with Phallus, and he is amazed by all the different foods. Al asks her how she can just walk around the capital, but she tells him she has a maid acting as her substitute at the palace, and she uses a magical hairpin that stops people from recognizing her. Phallus takes Al to the Adventurers Guild, and they are immediately greeted by the guildmaster, who has heard the rumors of Al's strength. He takes Al over to the reception desk, where they meet the secretary named Helen. Suddenly, Al's stomach growls loudly, so they first get him some food. Helen makes him a delicious pie, and they continue with the interview. She asks Al why he wants to become an adventurer, but Al explains he is only registering because of his deal with Phallus. Suddenly the adventurers from the previous day appear, thanking him for defeating the S-ranked dragon. Everyone in the guild is amazed, and Al becomes embarrassed. The adventurers introduce themselves as Jake, Luke, and Lamia. They wish him luck and tell him they should go hunting together. Al sighs as he imagines being dragged away from his farming. Al mentions to Helen he wants to try doing a quest, but she explains that adventurers are ranked from F rank all the way up to double S rank. Because he is a new adventurer, he can only take on easy quests to begin with. She suggests starting off with a quest to collect 10 herbs from the Grim Forest. Helen tells him he should get some equipment because there might be monsters, but Al says he's too poor to afford any. Hearing this, Helen gives him her old cloak, enhanced with magical defenses. Al is reluctant to accept it, but Helen insists and helps him put it on. Helen becomes dazzled, seeing him in the cloak, as he seems to remind her of a certain someone. She wishes him luck, but Al can only think about his farming life. Al heads out to the forest and collects the herbs. While he is collecting, he comes across a peculiar black scale. He wonders what monster could have dropped it, but suddenly gets approached by a female orc. It pounces on him, wanting to breed with him, but Jake appears and saves him. The orc is defeated and Al thanks him for his help. He asks if they know more about the black scale. Jake has heard rumors of a black dragon, but doesn't believe it because black dragons dwell in the highlands and not the forest. Lamia suggests he can sell it for a decent amount of money. Suddenly, there is a tremendous aura that overwhelms them. They're frozen in fear as a black dragon emerges. The dragon is covered in darkness and walks right past them. Al is terrified, but manages to take a look at its status, only to be shocked at its monstrous stats. There is a girl that's running away, but gets caught, and Helen